Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brian from Whisper Status 74. I hope everyone is doing well as the summer is coming to an end. I hope you guys all had an amazing summer. This video is going to be a direct response to one of your comments, and it's an important one. We've done these videos before, but I'm going to read you the comment, and this is about vertical banding. And this is something that has plagued all displays, LEDs, OLEDs alike, monitors, everything out there. And it's something that I want to address because it's the reason the channel actually exists. It's the reason why the community is here, and it's important to me. And this is really why I think all of your input is so important. And this is my input on Brad Huffman's comment. So he has some nice things to say about us as a community and about us being a therapeutic thing in regards to life and displays. And his comment, after saying some nice things, says, I just recently purchased the 85-inch Sony 900F. I love everything about it, but I've noticed a slight vertical band down the center of the screen when panning across skies, especially solid color skies in video games such as Spider-Man, God of War, Witcher 3, and so on. Other than that, I love the TV, especially in sheer size, colors, blacks, and so on. However, I'm still in my return period, and I keep debating whether or not I should gamble and try another panel. Now, Brad knows his stuff, as he alludes to in this next part of the comment. The TV is 85 inches, so I definitely expected some vertical banding on a screen of that size. I haven't noticed any other vertical bands on the screen except for the one I mentioned, and I've tested quite a lot of other content, also pixel peeped, and the TV doesn't have one dead pixel, which is another shocker due to its size. So, Brad, thank you so much for your question and for being part of the family and community. Now, I've already responded to Brad and asked his permission to do a video on this topic, but it's a very important one and one I want your guys' opinions on. It's very hard to find a clean panel in general, whether it's monitors, whether it's OLED panels, or LEDs. It really doesn't matter. Hold on one sec. Get that sun. Sorry, that's better. It's very hard to find a clean panel. And we've done a lot of videos on vertical banding, and I would show it to you now. It's just not something that's very visible unless it's terrible on YouTube. You can find vertical banding on my channel, or just YouTubing vertical banding in general to get some pretty extreme versions of it. There's a few different reasons why it happens. There's vertical banding, which is I've seen in some things of LED, simply because it's not a screen uniformity issue. It's the different zones, so you can see panning and the separation of the zones. That's something that is very evident for LEDs. You'll see vertical banding in OLEDs with gray or very dark content. Sometimes I've seen it on the OLED that I have on very black content. You'll see some, black streaks, which isn't visible. Now, before we talk about being too picky, and a lot of you guys, or a lot of people that see these videos for the first time, will say, just accept what it is. Don't be too picky. Don't go looking for issues. And part of that is correct. I don't suggest buying an LED or anything and looking for problems. I don't think that's something you should do. I don't think you should obsess over them. However, if you notice something, such as banding, you're not going to unnotice it. And if you're somebody who is into this kind of tech, like many of us in the community are, it will only get worse in terms of you noticing it. Now, the other kinds of vertical banding that you'll see are screen uniformity issues, and they are more apparent due to larger panels. Obviously, they're more apparent because the panel is larger, but also the screen uniformity of something as big as 85 inches is gigantic and is more noticeable. So when he says faint line, think in terms of an 85-inch display being that big. That faint line is probably 8 or 9 inches wide. And on a large display, it's pretty evident. If it was off to the right or left, if it was near the corners of the screen, I might say just to hold on to it. It's very hard to find a clean panel, especially at that size. However, and now we're talking about, guys, screen uniformity as it pertains to it being defective. Now, Brad also responded and said that when he went outside to get the TV from the delivery guys, they had the actual box up on its side, meaning it wasn't down where the TV was flat, it was up on its side, as it shouldn't be. It should be protected that way, but kind of alluding that it may have been not handled in the best way. As big as that display is, it is very heavy. It needs to be handled correctly. So, my advice to Brad is to check all content. Now, the reason I say that is, even with the OLED, some of the banding that I saw on my Sony 900E was also on my OLED. Meaning that some of these games, the way they have their graphics, the way they have checkerboard rendering on PS4 Pro, smoke, banding is evident on all displays, which is something I've learned recently. So what I would do, and I think Brad has already done this, he's already talked about games that have HDR, games that don't, like Witcher 3, he's seeing that same band. So he is going to tonight go through more kinds of content, movies, do some slides on YouTube for, you know, gray uniformity and banding, and see if he sees it there. Being that it's in the middle of the screen, I would send it back. Now, if his usage was primarily regular TV and maybe just movies, you probably wouldn't notice it with even panning shots, because panning shots are not continuous in film. It's one scene and it's done. The problem is with gaming, the biggest thing we do in gaming, other than, say, fighting games or even sports games, is a lot of panning. Whether it's a third-person shooter, a first-person shooter, a lot of it is just kind of panning, and it will drive you absolutely crazy. I've had, it's on this channel, my KS9800 had a huge vertical band right down the center. Same with my Sony 940E, had a large band. Both of those can be found on this channel. And it's just, these games are exploratory. A lot of us are looking for certain doors, and we're out in these open worlds. Every time that pans over, you can see it, and it will take you completely out of it. Now, if this is something that doesn't bother you guys, and it's not something that would pull you out of the immersion of this, then don't worry about this. This video is not for you. But for those of us that want the best picture quality we can find, vertical banding in the center of the screen, dirty screen effect as well, if it's right in your line of sight, it will be there every time you watch content. And that, to me, is not okay. Especially when these displays are brand new. This display is 85 inches. This is something that he has saved hard for. It doesn't matter how expensive it is, but it's not a display that somebody gave to him. It's not a used display. And he is in his window. Now, we've talked about this with Best Buy, Amazon. Other than Costco, once that window closes, guys, once that you're one day over, you're done. And that's unfortunate. So Best Buy and some others are only 15 days, unless you're an elite member. So I don't know if Brad's an elite member, but they will be understanding. They will give you maybe some pushback. I would bring, if I was Brad, I would bring up the way that he saw it being handled upon delivery as a reason, and I would use the words vertical banding. I would be as detailed as you can with how distracting it is, and they should take your word for it, and they should switch it out for you. For those of you that maybe have 1 or 2 dead pixels, I would never settle for a dead pixel, but if a dead pixel is way off to the corner and the rest of the panel is clean, then maybe you'd be okay with that, simply because Samsung, Sony, it's within their tolerance. They would tell you, with banding especially, they would say to you, hey, you know, if there's not more than this many bands. I think Samsung is 12 is their tolerance for dead pixels. So unless it's right in the center, they'll tell you that it's normal. I don't personally think that anything brand new should show up defective. Banding is debatable whether it's defective. All displays have some form of it. My advice to Brad is it's right in the center of your viewing experience. And if you're anything like the majority of us on this channel or in this community, is if you're noticing it now on a brand new panel, that will only become something you'll notice more and more as time goes on. So I suggested he tests all kinds of content. I remember games like Drake, Uncharted. the last game, I think part 4, I think it was, is that I didn't notice it as much in some games, and in a game like that with the HDR, as I panned, it just irked me. Then Tomb Raider, which was an HDR. Then I went through PC, PS4, Xbox One X, and then did some slides and found that it was on all content. It will be something that will take you completely out of it, if that's important to you. So, guys, don't settle. Your bargaining posture as the consumer is you have all the leverage, all the power while you're in that window. I suggest always being polite but firm, meaning do not let them tell you that it's normal. Do not let them tell you that this is something that always happens. If they do say that, you'll ask to speak to the manager, and if they do push back, then what I want you to do is go over to the wall. You'll see this in any retailer. You will find the manager that you can call on the phone. You will then call them. You will tell them the price of item and tell them that you're willing to pull your money out of the place. And that is how you'll get what you want. But trust me when I tell you, polite but firm. The minute you start to rant or get aggressive, it is well within their rights to either hang up on you or be done with you completely. To me, you're right until you're wrong. The minute you get aggressive, they should be able to walk away from you. And I know some of you guys can get volatile and get aggressive, and not in a bad way, but you know you're upset about this. This is not something easy. You're waiting for these displays. You researched them. You've taken days off from work. You're spending hours and hours, you know, pixel peeping. So I understand you guys being frustrated. But remember, these people are just working at their jobs. No one's trying to hurt you. But again, them all doing their jobs are really not that invested in it. This isn't a sales rep that's looking to get a commission. They could really care less. These delivery guys, white glove, all that, they could care less either. I always tip my drivers. I'm always as nice as I can. I'll always try to help them lift it. I will always take it out of the box myself. I don't want them handling it or grabbing the bezel. I've done a video on delivery on the channel. So be polite, be firm. Just say that this is not something, it's an 85-inch display. I can see it. If it's a smaller display, I'm up close. If I use it as a monitor, every time I pan, I can see it. You can embellish it, whatever it takes to get your point across. Just remember, once you are out of that window, Samsung, Sony, none of them are going to replace your panel for vertical banding or dead pixels unless it's dead center. You can send them pictures. This channel started by me sending videos to Samsung, and I was told that was fine. That was within their tolerance. Even though those displays were $10,000, I was told, hey, that's the way they are at 10 grand. Having a flagship, they do not care if it's the highest end OLED. They will tell you that banding is normal, it's screen uniformity. And they are half right. So guys, screen uniformity, if it's off to the sides, if it's something that you won't see in all content, then that's probably a pretty clean panel. If it's dead center in your line of sight, if it's dirty screen effect and it's literally a blotch right here, you're gonna see that in all content. And it's gonna really make your experience with these displays tiresome instead of being a joy. They're there to serve you. These displays are there to relieve your stress. They're there to be something to relax you and to sit back and enjoy content. I found in my own experience, going down, sitting back to enjoy content, every time I would see that, it would make me crazy. And I suggest that if you see it now, it will only become more and more evident as you go down the road. So Brad, thank you so much for your question, for being part of the family. This is why this channel exists, guys. This is TV therapy. This is tech therapy. This is why I'm here. I am behind on the comments as usual. I will get back to you, I promise. I love doing this channel. It is amazing. But the view count, the likes, all that stuff is not what I'm driven to create. These one-on-one conversations are more important to me than arguments back and forth. Trying to help. That's why we're here, and we're here as a community to help. So if you see Brad in the comments of this video, I hope he jumps in. Give him your advice. Tell him what you've done, even if you disagree with me. I just personally think that spending that kind of money, doesn't matter what money you guys spend, I think something brand new should function properly. We talked about this with TCL and some of these other companies that are known to have screen uniformity issues. If you look at Artings and websites that are more detailed, they will tell you the larger the display, the more you'll see uniformity problems. Just simply the mass and the coverage that they're trying to stretch to will cause problems, especially back when curved TVs were large. Huge screen uniformity problems there. I don't suggest you go looking, and I don't think you guys are being too picky, but a lot of times when I hear people say you're being too picky, they haven't bought the display. I would always say, if you buy it, you notice it, then it's there. And Brad, let me know how you make out. Everybody share your thoughts, and please help Brad in the comments with any advice. Please keep it positive. That's what this community is all about. I really appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Don't settle. Don't settle. We don't buy TVs all the time. We buy them. They're supposed to last us a few years. I want you guys to be as happy as you can with them. The TCL that I brought up before was an excellent display. There were a lot of uniformity issues with them. I know they fixed them at the end. 900F is not known to have screen uniformity issues. There are plenty clean ones out there. And let me know what you think. All right, Brad, good luck. I will talk to you guys soon. I have plenty of videos coming. I will catch up in the comments. Thank you as always, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.